like to do this morning is a little bit of an update showing one portion of our lot and how we're trying to convert this into a permaculture food forest. So what I'm going to do is focus really just on one side, go through each plant, the thoughts we're going through, what's going on. So this is, it is Saturday morning, it's about 7 o'clock, the sun is rising behind me, and we are in the Puna district on the big island of Hawaii. So actually directly behind those trees is Mauna Kea. If those trees weren't there, we could see Mauna Kea with the observatory. So this area right here, this bed, that's the most recent bed we're working on, is really, this is one of the few beds so far in the entire yard that's really purely about privacy. So at this point, there's a few palms in there, and the 3 plants here and this guy right here are giant birds of paradise. So these will get 25 feet tall. They turn into big plants, and the idea here is to just create some privacy. This is a street right here, as you can see. We have a chain link fence, and from that fence see directly into the house. So we're just trying to keep a little bit of privacy from the street. So moving up from here, so far not very exciting, I apologize. This bed has nothing in it. It is just a new bed. It's got what I almost always do with the beds here, make a rock border. I've taken all the weeds that were in the area, taken down some trees, broken them up as much as I can, put them on the bottom, and then covered them with mulch. And then what I'll do on top of that is add some composted manure of one sort or another. In this case, I have a couple of bags of organic composted chicken manure, and I will blend that in here and plant this out to something. I haven't decided yet on what I'll do here. I'm thinking about corn, but I may put another tree in there. So next up the line, we have a curry leaf tree. So there's nothing in here except this curry leaf tree, and we actually had this planted somewhere else, but it wasn't doing very well, and we needed to do some stuff to the area. So we pulled it up, put it in a pot for a few months. It started to recover. It doesn't look like much now, but these are pretty beautiful trees, and the leaves are, they smell strongly of curry, and you cook with them. So this is an edible plant, and it's a beautiful tree. So next, we have an egg fruit tree. I will show an egg fruit, which I have a couple inside of the house right now, but this is a pretty happy tree. With these 4 beds that I've just shown, these are the newest beds. They're really only maybe 3 weeks old in total, so they haven't been planted out to any ground cover or anything else, but most likely in this bed and the curry leaf bed, there I will put legumes and sweet potatoes, which is a pattern that I've done over and over again, and I'll show that in some other beds. I'll show some more mature beds as we go up the line. So, well, here we have a more mature bed. So this is a tangerine tree. It's a named cultivar, and the other trees that I've shown so far, the egg fruit and the curry tree, both of those are seedlings. This is a grafted plant. You can see the graft right there. Pretty healthy, good looking tree. It's been in here for maybe 2 or 3 months, but this is a really good example of one of the beds that we've been doing. So we've got 3 plants underneath this tree. The first are sweet potatoes. So these are sweet potatoes that I've taken cuttings of, really like 5 sweet potatoes we started with. We've got comfrey, which I'm trying to put comfrey under every single fruit tree, and just over and over, just chopping and dropping. I chop and drop these probably once every month or two. They just grow so vigorously. And then that is a yam bean or a jicama, so nitrogen fixer. Both of the comfrey and the yam beans are nitrogen fixers. Next we have, so this is another new bed. This is a smaller one, but this is a Kukui Nut tree. So it, I think it's also known as candle nut. So you can actually take the nuts and make candles out of them. So not necessarily edible, but I think it is edible, but the intention here is that it's a nice tree. The nuts are nice and they have some useful properties. Next we have a pretty overgrown area. This was one of the very first areas we planted out, and this is the banana area, but admittedly this area needs some work. It's overgrown, but we've got 4 or 5 bananas in here. There are some sweet potatoes growing in that mess right there, but it needs some work. Next, we have a seedling Rollinia, a little tropical, it's a big tropical tree, but in this case, it's a little seedling. It's done okay. Actually, it hasn't done very well. And this is because it was put in straight, like, volcanic rock, no real soil. I mulched it once. It's never really been fertilized. I've compost teed it a few times, but it's actually starting to get a little bit of growth on it, but this plant needs some love. But this area is a work in progress. But now we come to an area that's a little bit better. This is a Kalimandan lime. Here is one lime. These things are awesome. They're like little sweet and sour limes. It's starting to flower, which I'm really excited about. Last year we got, I don't know, 100 little limes off this tree, so really excited about this thing blossoming and fruiting again. But same thing in this bed. Sweet potato planted out. A little comfrey that's been chopped and dropped underneath there. So there's actually 2 little comfreys. So comfrey and comfrey. They don't look like much right now, but it's because I just shredded them a few days ago. And then this is actually pretty cool. A taro. I did an earlier video planting. So in this end part here, I purposely made the mulch pretty deep because I want to take this taro that I bought at a farmer's market and just plant it straight in the ground here. This taro, it was just a root that I stuck in there, and that's what it looks like now after maybe 5 or 6 weeks. And there's another one right there. Doesn't look like much right now. That's a big fat root vegetable in there that's going to turn into one of those. Next, we have another bed, a little bit more mature. This is a few months old, maybe 6 weeks old. But this is an abiu. I do have another video showing growing abiu from seed. So this is an abiu seedling. Don't know what the fruit is going to turn out like, but sweet potato all throughout this bed. Sweet potato. This is a purple Asian sweet potato and comfrey. So repeated theme over and over again. This is a brown turkey fig. It is it's a cultivar plant bought at a nursery, not a seedling, and a whole bunch of sweet potato that's doing pretty well. This is I forget. And again, we have comfrey, sweet potato, and a fruit tree. Going along the line here, I haven't really shown this yet, but we have a ton of palm trees. Hundreds of palm trees that I put along here, all for privacy. Doing pretty well. And when I plant these, what I've been doing is I put them in, I plant them in straight mulch, and then I put a few scoops of composted either cow or chicken manure and a few scoops of dolomite to balance the acidity in the soil. And these have responded pretty well. This is one of my little palm seedlings put in here, looking nice and green. And this is probably from seed. I started this from seed probably 6 months ago, so that's not bad. Maybe 12 inches tall from a little seed. So I'm going to continue down the line. Now we get into a bit of the wilderness. This area, obviously work in progress, but I want to show a couple things. I've done some other videos showing sort of what we're doing in this yard. We're dealing with a sort of a dumping ground, what this yard was, and we're really trying to clean it up. But there are some valuable plants in here. That's why we're doing it so carefully. But this right here, this tree is a strawberry guava. They're invasive, but they do have use. There is good fruit on them. I plan on using them, but managing them carefully. There's a couple of them here, but I will try to show some actual strawberry guava on here. But beyond this, we then get into some interesting areas. This right here is a seedling avocado. I think somebody just threw an avocado on the ground. I found this this was just, I didn't even know it was here. It was buried among the weeds. I found it. I cleaned it up. Since doing so, I mulched it, and it's actually, it started to really flush out some new growth. Let's see if I can show this without falling down. So, really looking good right now, considering how much trouble it was in. I don't have high hopes that this will ever produce good fruit. It could be a male. I don't know. But I'm keeping this in here because I can graft a named cultivar onto it. So I'm happy that it's there. If I ever need to take it down, I can, and I'll just mulch the plants. So, okay, now we come into this hedge of this all strawberry guava. And these are really, really aggressive plants, but they do make very good fruit. I've been making smoothies out of them, juicing them. I want to make some wine out of them. But here are some flowers. Here are some small fruit. This is the back north corner. This tree is another avocado seedling that, who knows when it came in here. I suspect this is a dumping ground again, and I think there was people squatting back here. So I think somebody was eating avocado one day, threw the seed down, and a plant grew. So this is a few years old. I think it's actually younger than you'd think. It just was in a really good growing condition, tons and tons of rain in a warm climate. I'm guessing this plant is 3 years old. I'm sure there's people watching that are rolling their eyes at me, but I think 3 or 4 years old. It hasn't fruited yet. It may never fruit, but same as the other avocado, I'm going to use this to graft onto. So it's nicely established. It's actually kind of in the perfect location. It's like 12 feet away from either corner of the yard. So that's it. So this is a quick little tour. I guess it wasn't so quick. It's turned into a long video, but If you stuck with me, thank you. I'll probably do more. Well, I won't probably, I'll do more. This was just one small section of the yard, sort of the master plan to turn this into a permaculture food forest. The one last thing too that I want to say about permaculture stuff is I understand that there are technically a lot of rules, like zones. Some of this isn't following the whole zone mentality. This is only an acre, so having things in the back of the yard, even if it's herbs that I would use every day, it's really not that far of a walk. So I am trying to follow some of those principles, but my main motivation here is to grow organically, have a food forest, have useful plants, and manage water and resources as well as I possibly can. So thank you very much for watching.